A coin flip determining the seedings, and our fourth seed is Bruno Defeo from East Boston, Massachusetts.
Another bowler we didn't see last season, Dick, but he's back with us here on the first week of our brand new ladder. From East Boston, a average of 122, high single at 192. Bruno's high triple is 464. Central Park Lanes in East Boston, the home center for Bruno Defeo.
The scene is set. Let's get right to our first match with Tom O'Brien meeting Bruno Defeo at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues on WNDS TV. We'll be right back with our match. Ready to go with the first match, and you see the roll-off winners. Don Richmond, 48 pins better than the field, which was bunched up right behind him. And our first bowler here this afternoon will be Tom O'Brien, and he'll start us off in our first match of the new ladder series. The lefty punches right through to start us off. An auspicious start for Tom. He follows it right through. A hostile crowd here at Leda Lanes early on.
Hostile to the pin action, certainly not the bowler.
And he'll finish with a 6-box to start out. It's a good-natured crowd that always comes out to our tapings at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. That time he found the head pin.
Well, as you pointed out, Dick, at the top of the show, Tom O'Brien and Bruno Defeo tying for the 4th position. And there's our first mark of the match.
Now he responds after the 6-box with a spare to get himself untracked. And now our first look at Bruno Defeo.
No stranger to the television lights, but not nearly as many appearances as Tom O'Brien, who's been on television at least 60 times with all the various New England bowling shows over the years.
And Bruno missed the head pin with his first ball. He's 28 years old, a chemical operator for Raffi and Swanson in Wilmington, Massachusetts. Both bowlers having tough first boxes. Another fine crowd on hand at Leda Lanes, as we're so accustomed to seeing, and a matching 6 boxes for both bowlers to start out. Hardly representative when you look at their roll-off scores of 618 apiece. These guys don't throw too many 6s.
That's for sure. Maybe the first frame jitters, but both making good solid head pin connections in their second frames. Two, 4, 7, and 10.
Great try by Bruno. Tough split. And he gave it a shot, didn't he?
Waiting for the wood to settle down, still rocking a little bit at an angle to the left of the head pin, or the 10 pin rather.
And a 10 box for Bruno Defeo. 16 through 2, and now Tom O'Brien working on a spare in the second frame. Tom is 32 years old. And he'll fill the spare with a 5. We were talking with him before the match about his occupations, plural. He's a busy guy.
If there's a high unemployment rate, it's Tom O'Brien's fault. He's got 3 jobs, Dick.
Manager of Main Street Ford in Waltham, bartender at Robert's Restaurant and Bar in Waltham, and now working at Total Recall Telecommunications in Natick, Massachusetts, in customer service. He has a 7 box.
And your theory as to why he has so many jobs is that
he's about to get married.
There you go.
Welcome to the club, Tom.
Now, you've been married a good number of years.
That's why I'm always working. 26 years.
Well, congratulations
to the beautiful Deborah. And a 10 box. Every time I look at my daughters Andrea and Allison, and my son Stephen, and my miniature pincher Hillary. That's all worthwhile. Had to mention Hillary.
Now,
she's the newest member.
I was going to say, how recently did you acquire this
6
dog?
months.
And Hillary's a female dog?
Female miniature pincher.
Was the name inspired at all by a public
lady.
figure we know
Absolutely.
and love? Okay.
$9 for Bruno Defeo, 25 through 3, a 3-pin lead comparing box to box for Tom O'Brien, and Bruno Defeo up against an open frame coming here in the 4th box. On the head pin, but unable to convert. So both bowlers will be in open frames in the 4th box. A 9 for Bruno Defeo, a 4-pin lead for Tom O'Brien.
Interesting thing about this ladder is that Don Richmond at 674 was far and above the other 4 bowlers beneath him by at least, well, 48 pins over the 2nd seed Paul Willits, who we'll see in a couple of weeks. Don Richmond 674, and then we drop way down to 626, 621, and a pair of 618s on the ladder.
And another open frame coming here for Tom O'Brien as he's unable to convert the split. And he'll settle for an 8 box. A 46 half for O'Brien.
Audience hungry for anything to applaud at this point.
That might be the
Like
first
that.
one. First spare leave for Tom O'Brien with some wood in front. And he went the hard way, but he converts the spare. And an appreciative roar from the crowd.
Imagine what they'll do for a couple of strikes should we see that today. And speaking of the triple strike pool, Dick,
$600 for our bowler if he can put 3 strikes back to back to back.
I've often thought that we should have a running pool for the spread eagle because it's such a wonderful spare to see and so infrequently made. So if you're willing to put up the money, Dick, perhaps we could start that next week.
I'll take it under advisement.
Well,
how's that?
Ask your wife and see how she feels about it.
I know the answer there. Bruno will settle for 7 bucks, a 41 half for Bruno Defeo. The bowlers are struggling here in the first string. Bruno looks for some luck. And Wood rolling back. If it should make a U-turn and start rolling back the other way, but it's not. Chris Bovier, well, it starts to roll. There it goes.
As it often
Watch
does.
out.
Nah, it's not going to make it.
Not going to pick up momentum, so Chris Bovier will remove it.
He is our
From the
official scorer for the bowlers and our audience members.
And pin retriever.
And pin retriever. And one of these weeks, Dick, we will see him. He does try to qualify. He was one of the young teen phenomenon bowling stars here at Leda Lanes for many years.
And a mark for Bruno Defeo, his first mark coming in the 6th box of the first string.
Chris bowled in the junior program about the time that my daughter was, and can remember him always having huge scores, just embarrassingly high for those of us adults who never mastered the game to his level.
O'Brien puts 4 in the spare.
Well, his spare fills have been only 5 and 4 opposite Bruno Defeo's first spare of the match in the 6th frame.
And another 8 box, 68 through 7 now for Tom O'Brien with a couple of marks in the string. And another split.
Well, hitting the head pin hasn't been a problem. Getting a decent spare leave has been in the early stages for O'Brien.
That's almost. He gave it a good shot. 10 bucks, 78 through 8. Talking with Bruno Defeo before the match, one of the things in his bio, he was on the old Channel 5 show in the True Value tournament. He bowled a women's tour player named Janet Polk, and he defeated her, but barely. And Janet was the only female to ever make that show. And Bruno was telling me it would have been the most embarrassing day of his professional career.
He may look at it that way, but Janet Polk is one of the top women tour players, and there, believe me, there would be no embarrassment other than the typical male bravado that I think Bruno was referring to.
That's the point he was making, sure.
Because believe me,
his friends would never have let him forget it.
I guarantee most men would not beat Janet Polk on a given day. I've watched her bowl many times, and she is a sensational bowler. Actually did very well, I think, in the last Pro Tour for the women. Finished 6th with 1190. We'll talk about the Pro Tour, where to see them, how the bowlers are doing as we go along the next couple of weeks.
Grabbed the head pin that time and broke up the split and leaves himself a spare opportunity with some wood that appears to be in his favor.
Just has to touch any one of those 3 pieces.
That's the second mark of the first string for Bruno Defeo, and it will give him a chance to take the lead in this first string with 2 boxes remaining. Tom O'Brien moves over to lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire.
And he's in danger of not hitting 100 if he doesn't get a mark.
Needs to hit the head pin here. And threw it past it. A 9 box and 87 through 9 frames for Tom O'Brien. He will need a mark to reach 100. Well, he threw it on the head pin and doesn't have much to show for it, does he?
Tom O'Brien, a crowd favorite when he walked in here before the start of today's match. Crowd of people gathered around him, happy to see him. Been a while since he's been on WNDS, and we're glad to have him back.
Take him one at a time. He'll finish with a sub 100 first string. 97 for Tom O'Brien. He started out with a 6 in the first frame and never really got into a groove.
2 marks that he didn't fill all that well, keeping him from that 100.
Now Bruno on a spare takes the lead. But he has a tough leave here, and he threw it past the head pin. Have to do some research and find out when 2 bowlers bowled under 100 in the same string. A 9.
Don't think that'll be the case today, but it could.
91. Well, he missed the head pin again, and he still has 6 pins standing.
And that is a configuration he had a couple of boxes ago with 2 double woods and 2 others.
On the head pin, he will break 100. He's at 100 right now.
If he'd have bowled this back on the Channel 5 show against Janet Polk, he would have lost.
An even 100 first string for Bruno Defeo, a 3-pin lead over Tom O'Brien as we head to string number 2 from Leda Lanes in Nashua. Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues on WNDS TV. Ready to go with our second string. Bruno Defeo will be first to bowl. He takes a 3-pin lead over Tom O'Brien into the second string of this, our first match of the second ladder series of the new season on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Gary Santoro won our first ladder series and a berth in the Tournament of Champions. And a spare for Bruno Defeo starting off the second string.
A little more inspiring start than his 6-box to begin the first game.
Both bowlers opened with 6s. And he fills the spare with 9.5. That last one won't go.
And that is the best fill. Our bowlers up to this point combined 4 spares with nothing better than a 6 fill to show in the first game. There you go.
Double mark, a chance for some bonus money for Bruno Defeo. Now we're loosening up a little bit. Let's see if Tom O'Brien is equal to the task right now.
Well, they were very close in the qualifying rounds, both at 6-18, and remain just pins apart in the starting the second game.
Now, O'Brien missed the head pin, but he left himself a spare opportunity with some pretty good wood. Key here is to hit the head pin. Well, he hit the head pin, but didn't get enough of it.
Yeah, ball was tailing away to the right.
And he'll take a 9-box to start out the second string.
Our runner-up today will take home a check for $100, and our winner goes on to bowl John Zappi, the 3rd seed in next week's action.
Tom, as we mentioned earlier, is engaged to marry Jennifer. They haven't yet set a date. He'll have a stepson, Billy, 4 years old, and all the reasons for all of the work he does during the day and week. And he ends up with an 8-box.
Tom O'Brien, also a veteran of the live Channel 5 show back in 1992.
"33 times on that show and another 27 on WNDS. A lot of time under the lights.
A lot of time under the lights. If he doesn't get going, it's going to be 28 times and out the door. He's got to find a way to get going here against Bruno, who seems to have found his mark.
Looking for bonus money and unable to convert. Oh, nice 10-box for Bruno Defeo as he picked up the split. 44 through 3. And a strike for Bruno Defeo, his 3rd mark in 4 boxes. And he has found the mark. Watch it again, right in the pocket, in the 1-3 pocket solidly.
10-pin, we call that a trip 4.
In the first strike of the match. Now Tom O'Brien needs to find that mark as he continues to struggle.
Oh, just when you think things can't get any worse, they do.
When it rains, it pours, someone once said, and Tom O'Brien really can't break out of the slump. He's in a 5-box. 22-pin lead in the string, box to box for Bruno Defeo. Now Tom O'Brien finds himself up against a strike in the 4th frame. Throws it in the pocket, but doesn't have much to show for it. Tough split. Piece of wood on the left could be advantageous, depending on where it ultimately ends up.
Pretty much has to use it, I would think. But the 8-pin might stay. He doesn't hit it quite right.
Now let's see how the lefty Tom O'Brien plays this one. He'll come at it from left to right. Goes after the wood.
Yeah.
You called it, Michael. The 8-pin still standing, as is the 10. And it'll be an 8-box for Tom O'Brien. And we'll take a break here after 4 frames of the second string with Bruno Defeo, 3 marks and 4 boxes, taking the lead. We're back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Bruno Defeo gets ready to bowl in the 5th frame of the 2nd string. He has caught fire in the 2nd string with 3 marks and 4 boxes, and he's working on a strike. And he's on the head pin, a little thin on the Brooklyn side, but still a spare opportunity. And he converts. Is this the same Bruno Defeo we saw in the 1st string?
I don't know. He certainly is capable of putting up the big scores. He's done it many times, although not in the 1st game. Making up for it now, though.
On the head pin. That's a $50 shot right there. First bonus money of the match. Watch it again as he has found the head pin.
Are you sure that's not a replay of the last strike we saw a few frames
right there,
ago?
and look at what Tom O'Brien does.
Oh, boy.
And he throws it right through and picks up 1. Tom O'Brien, needless to say, is struggling. A 5-box, second 5-box of the string for Tom O'Brien.
Just so you know that he is a very fine bowler, as I'm sure you didn't have any doubt. Tom O'Brien was Mass Open State doubles champion with our top seed Don Richmond a couple of years back in the mid-90s. So it would be interesting to see the two of them pairing up, not as doubles partners, but bowling against each other in singles. But at the rate we're going, that is not going to happen.
Well, he had a spare opportunity there that goes by the boards. He's not able to convert. And he takes an 8-box.
Yeah,
Tom is struggling. And Bruno Defeo has found the range. Bruno has 3 marks in a row. Has $50 in bonus money and is looking for more.
Yeah, no harm done there. We don't add the bonus pins into the 2nd ball after a strike. But not a fun shot to make with the half Worcester punched out on the right side.
It'll be an 8-box. Box to box in this string, it's a 57-pin lead in the string for Bruno Defeo. It makes it a 60-pin lead in the match. Bruno on the head pin that time, but can't break up the split. But the wood turns in his favor.
Is not as easy as it looks, by the way. It looks like it'd just be a clean sweep across.
Same situation as the last time. The back pin was not covered by the piece of wood.
Yeah, ball just deflects right around it.
And a 9-box. 117 through 8 for Bruno Defeo. And now Tom O'Brien will try to take advantage of 2 open frames here and claw his way back into the match. On the head pin.
And our audience would love to see that happen. He's much loved by our gallery today.
This is a spare opportunity, obviously, with the opportunity converted by Tom O'Brien.
Big smile. You didn't see it on camera, but big smile. Relief. Now let's put something better than a 4 on the bottom of that.
On the head pin.
Five, the 8, and the 9.
He bounced it down and threw it right through the middle.
Looking to see if there's a speed bump. No, Tom, there isn't a speed bump out there.
He lost the grip and just bounced it right down. It takes an 8-box. 49-pin lead in the string for Bruno Defeo, a 52-pin lead in the match. We have seen 50-pin leads disappear in the past.
Well, we have.
Bruno looking for a strike.
Bruno doesn't show any signs, though, of giving up his turf so far.
There's a spare. Last year we saw Hawk Hallis come back to beat Joe Ashline. What was he down? 60 pins after 2 boxes in the third string?
61 pins, I think, and ended up winning by 1. I think I just heard Joe Ashline turn off his TV as we mentioned that again. It was a dramatic moment and feel badly for Joe, but it's part of the athletic competition.
It was a memorable match. It was really, it was unbelievable is what it was. $143 for Bruno, and that's what it'll be, a 143 for Bruno Defeo in the second string. And now it's up to Tom O'Brien to try and get as many pins in these 2 frames to get as close as he can headed into the third string. On the head pin, but not much to show for it.
Yeah, there's the diamond and the 10 pin to make it even more difficult. 6 and the 10 still there. Another sub 100 game looming for O'Brien. He needs a double strike to hit 100 this time. And $600 if he hits 3 in a row.
And he'll take the spare. The wood kicking off the side wall, taking the 7-pin belatedly, but nonetheless it goes, and that's a spare. Another ball for Tom O'Brien. He has 88 plus this ball, spread eagle. A 92 second string for Tom O'Brien. A 54-pin lead in the match for Bruno Defeo as we head into the third and final string on Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on WNDS TV. Tom O'Brien is first to bowl in the third string of our match here this afternoon on Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our entire WNDS crew on hand as Tom O'Brien has a mountain to climb here in the third string. 54-pin deficit staring him in the face with 1 string remaining. And he'll start out by not converting a spare opportunity. On hand for WNDS TV for our program here this afternoon is our director Larry Taylor. Working audio is Kevin LaFond. On the tape is Dave McCarthy. Our graphics manned by Dave Cates, the ultimate Bruins fan. On video is Paul Hunter, and our cameraman Bob Dold, Gary Van Nortwick, and Shane Windstorm. All making it possible for you to watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes each and every week on WNDS TV, and we're happy to have you with us. Couple of 10 boxes back to back for Tom O'Brien to start out, but 10s aren't going to be good enough for him. He'll need to throw some marks on the board.
You mentioned Dave Cates as the ultimate Bruin fan. You might get an argument from this guy here, Bruno Defeo, whose passion in life besides his wife is going to Boston Bruins games.
Goes without saying, he's from East Boston.
So he's got to be a Bruins fan, that's for sure.
Ooh, the sleeper didn't go. Looked like it was an automatic, but there's no such thing.
No, not in this game, there isn't.
And a 9 box to start out.
I guess a number of years ago, somebody wanted to do an experiment to see if it was possible to bowl a 300 game, which of course has never been done in Candlepin bowling. So somehow they set up a machine that would fire a ball at the exact same trajectory, speaking of strikes, and same speed, and they were actually able to simulate A 300 game.
Watch the strike thrown by Bruno Defeo. He gets good mixing action and puts the strike on the board. Now Tom O'Brien needs to mark virtually the rest of the way. And this is not an easy one. 5, 9, and 10. The 10 pin still stands. Third 10 box of the string for Tom O'Brien, but he's unable to pick up ground on Bruno Defeo.
Oops, that one got away from him.
Waiting in the wings, John Zappi, the third seed. He'll face the winner of this match next week.
And Dick, that will be his very first television appearance anywhere ever.
That'll be exciting for him.
He'll never forget it.
And an 8 box for Tom O'Brien, 38 through 4. He continues to struggle. In the first string, he had 2 spares on his way to a 97. In the second string, he had 2 spares on his way to a 92. Thus far through 4 boxes in the third string, he has failed to mark. Bruno Defeo working on a strike. I want to remind you about our new news broadcasts on WNDS each night at 7 and 10 p.m. News Now presents 30-minute newscasts anchored by Alicia Tulanian with our meteorologist Al Caprillion and yours truly handling the sports nightly 7 and 10. WNDS News Now. Hope you have a chance to watch. 9 box for Bruno. Yeah, the crowd's trying to root it down, but the pin would have none of it. The 7 pin did not listen.
Didn't hit the head pin, and he nearly ended up sleazing a strike out of that. 7 pin remains. Some wood in front.
Sleazing a strike.
Yeah.
Interesting terminology.
Hey.
A spare for Bruno in the 4th box. We'll take a break, and Tom O'Brien still trying to climb that mountain as we continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Tom O'Brien will be first to bowl as we come back from the break. 5th box, 3rd string. Tom O'Brien trailing by 62 pins plus a ball that Bruno Defeo will have on his spare when he next steps to the line, and Tom O'Brien picks 1. It has not been O'Brien's day. And there's a spare for the ages. Doesn't that figure that he would make that 9-pin spare? Watch it again.
Yeah, maybe he can parlay that into a couple of more marks for some bonus money here.
Which would be nice. Again, off the head pin, but the pins continue to fall.
He was holding up, I don't think you could see it, he was holding up 2 fingers indicating he thought he might get a punch out on that, but turned out to be better. 7 fill.
See if he can pick up the spare, miss the head pin. Just unable to find the mark for the head pin. And a 9 box and a 64. What's for lunch today or dinner? If you're in the area, why not stop by the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge right next door to Leda Lanes on Amherst Street in Nashua. It's what we do every time we come to Leda Lanes. We head over for the luncheon buffet, and we're all looking forward to that today.
By about Thursday, I start getting withdrawals because I can't wait for Sunday to have it.
So we're headed over to the Kahala. Hope you do too. It's right next door to Leda Lanes. If you're coming from the north, from Manchester on the Everett Turnpike, it's exit 8. If you're coming from the south, take exit 7W. And on Route 101, you will find the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge. Again, look for Leda Lanes. And if you found Leda Lanes, you found the Kahala right next door. The Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge in Nashua. Well, that pin dances and dances and finally tumbles.
Bruno Defeo just cruising along here.
He is on cruise control right now.
He definitely is. 7:10 remaining.
Well, Bruno's not setting the world on fire in this string, but Tom O'Brien has really been unable to take advantage.
Yeah, Bruno did all his damage last game with a 143 and a 51-pin win over O'Brien, who was only able to muster 92. Needs a 111, Tom does, just to hit a 300 triple.
Now there's a good pocket shot and a 9-pin drop and a good spare leave with some good wood. The spare for Tom O'Brien, his second mark of the string. About all that remains is for Tom to win a few bucks in bonus money, and he didn't leave himself a very good spare opportunity here. And he just punches the head pin. It'll be an 8 box, an 87 through 8. Again, he'll need a mark to reach that 300 mark. Now Bruno Defeo.
Now there it is, the 2, 7, 8, and the 10. Plenty of wood, a lot of possibilities here.
I think this goes, Michael. I think it goes. Nope, he didn't make it.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to go.
I thought it would too, but still the 8 and the 10 remain. But Bruno Defeo, not a problem. He is our winner today. Goes on to meet John Zappi next week.
You're ready to go out on a limb, huh?
Yeah, I put my money on him.
You riverboat gambler, you. There's Bruno.
Call me a front runner, but I knew that was coming.
That's his second strike of this string and his 4th strike overall. Watch it again as he was right on the head pin. And Bruno is coasting home. And Tom O'Brien just can't buy a break. He hasn't been able to buy a break all day. A 95. He needs a mark to hit 300.
And it ain't gonna happen with that. Spread eagle and in the back, the 8 and the 9. Come on, make a liar out of me, Tom.
Well, he will break 100 for the first time this afternoon. A 104 and a 293 for Tom O'Brien.
A good-natured fella. I'm sure he's a bit embarrassed, but he'll be back.
Now Bruno working on a strike. Bruno already at 333.
I would have thought he might have played that wood over on the left, but chose to go to the right side. Still the 6 and the 7 remain. 8 fill on the strike.
Now he'll try it.
That's what I thought he would have done the first time.
107 for Bruno with a box to go. He's at 350 plus whatever he gets in this box, and that will be
missed a strike by about 2 inches. That pin didn't quite get all the way over to the 6.
and a spare for Bruno, so he'll finish strongly. right in the pocket, a solid shot, and a 9-pin fill, and a 126 third string, and a final of 369, a 76-pin win for Bruno Defeo over Tom O'Brien. We'll come back to meet our bowlers in just a moment as Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues from Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS-TV. Bruno Defeo defeats Tom O'Brien 369 to 293, and for Tom O'Brien a check for $100. And we were talking before we came on that that wasn't the real Tom O'Brien.
No, I guess Tom O'Brien showed up, but the bowling stayed home. Now you know why I've been off for 3 years.
Well, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Congratulations. Thanks very much. And Tom O'Brien, our runner-up here this afternoon. And now let's bring Bruno Defeo up, and he'll roll a ball, and we'll try to match him up with a winner in the bonus ball contest. As Mike Morin will draw a card from our bin here at Leda Lanes, and we'll see what Bruno Defeo can do if we can match him up with a winner. And it is a 3. See if Mike can pull out a postcard that's got the right number on it. Let's see what we got. Close, close. This is Kay Fair from Lawrence, Massachusetts, and she said 4. So Kay, it doesn't match. We have a consolation prize for Kay, and let's see if we can give 10 strings of free bowling to Mary Foley from East Boston, Massachusetts. The second card pulled out of the bin, and we'll bring Bruno Defeo over. Bruno, congratulations to you. You struggled in the first string, as did Tom, but you finally found a groove after that.
Yeah, I was a little tight the first string and couldn't get on the head pin. A little uncomfortable in 34, but I found the stroke in the second string.
What's the difference between 33 and 34?
Mental, I guess.
You got to overcome that, and you did, apparently. Congratulations to you. We'll see you next week. Bruno Defeo, our winner here this afternoon, and that sets up the match next week with Bruno Defeo and number 3 seed John Zappi.
And we've not seen him on any of the bowling shows in New England, so this will be our first look at John Zappi, the number 3 seed, hoping to get to number 1, Don Richmond, a couple weeks from now, sitting at the top.
That'll do it for this afternoon. Thanks for joining us from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. For Mike Morin and our entire WNDS-TV crew, I'm Dick Lutz. Thanks for watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and we'll see you next time.